nursing school is a wild ride, but that doesn't mean you have to run and hide. When the going gets tough, don't leave your stress undiagnosed. You gotta call the nursing student coach. Real life tips from a registered nurse. In school and out, she's seen the worst. Now without further ado, yeah, here is your host. It's the Nursing Student Coach.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Nursing Student Coach. This is Nurse Lauren. And I wanted to ask you if there is something that you want to hear about, if there's a specific topic that you'd like to hear an episode on, or maybe a certain type of guest, please let me know. Email me through the website, nursingstudentcoach.com. Go to contact me. And I would love to hear what you want to hear about because I want to give you the most valuable information that I possibly can. So please let me know. And I would love to hear from you. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Or if you're watching on Spotify, listening on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever it may be, can you please pull out your phone, give me a quick rating and review? Because the more ratings and reviews that we have, the more the show will be presented to potential listeners who may not have found us otherwise. That way, we can help put more great nurses into the world, which is the whole point of me doing this show. So, thank you so much, guys. And speaking of wanting to hear from you, I want to talk about a subject today that has been asked to me a lot recently. I've been getting this question and I'm going to rephrase it. I'm going to put a little positive spin on it because I think this is what you mean when I get this question. Lauren, what do I do when I have a professor who doesn't quite align with what I had envisioned for this course? Or what if I have a professor who isn't exactly meeting my needs? So I'm sure you can imagine what I'm talking about. We all have a professor at some point in our nursing school career that, let's be honest, we don't like. We don't vibe with them. They're not our style. We find them really tough, or maybe they're not being very clear on what we need to be doing to do well in the class. We all have had one or two professors like that. First, let's talk about those tough love professors. Those professors who are really hard on us, the ones who maybe we're a little bit afraid of. Maybe we're a little bit afraid to speak up because they're a little intimidating and we have some level of fear around them. Maybe they've, been around for a while and I don't know. But here's the thing. Those professors, the ones who are tough on you, the ones who you think, "Oh, she doesn't like me, she's so mean." Those are the ones you may not feel it now, but in a year, 2 years, 3 years, you are going to look back and say, "Wow, they taught me so much." And I'm actually really glad I went through that because I'm better for it, I'm stronger for it. At the time, I understand. I know it can be tough, but it's a mindset shift. It's a way of thinking to say, every single professor that I have will teach me something. Every single professor I am grateful for. And maybe I don't know what it is yet, but I am going to gain something incredibly valuable from this professor. Now, on the same note, let's talk about those professors who maybe are not delivering a clear cut path as far as what you need to be doing to do well in the class. Maybe you have a professor who says, just read the textbook, guys. That can be really frustrating, right? Or they have a lecture that may not be as engaging as you would like. Maybe it's hard to stay alert, to stay engaged during that lecture because it's not quite as entertaining as you would like it to be. I'm going to give you a few ideas as far as what to do, how to change your mindset. First of all, take a breath. Okay, You have to do this. You have to be here anyway. So, how can we make this class the best experience possible for you? What can we do? If you want to take 15 minutes and be angry about it and write the professor an angry note, don't give it to them. I'm just saying to get your feelings out, do it. Take 15 minutes, use my 15-minute rule, and then let it go. When you come back from that, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a little pep talk. You got to be there anyway. You got to do well in this class. First thing, let's take out a piece of paper and a pen, write down every single positive thing you can possibly think of about this professor. What do you know about them? What's their experience? They very likely have years of clinical experience. Maybe they've had 30 years of med surg experience. Can you imagine the wealth of knowledge that is in their head and you get to spend 3 hours a week with them? That is amazing. Can we shift our mindset into thinking about it like that? They may not be the most entertaining, engaging professor, let's say. Maybe that's not even your problem, but let's just say that is. Okay, what can you possibly learn from them? What can you gain from them? Are you telling me you're going to spend 15 weeks with this person and not gain valuable knowledge with that type of experience? Try to think of it that way. Second thing I would do, if you want to be successful in this class, then make a decision. Say, I'm going to be successful in this class no matter what it takes. If that professor has office hours, or at the very least, stay after class to catch them for a few minutes, introduce yourself to them. Let them know who you are. You should do this with everybody anyway, but especially a professor who you find challenging. Say, my name is Joe Jones. I'm in your whatever class. I'm in your Med Surg 2 class. And I'm just wondering what advice you have because I want to do very well in this class. What do you suggest I do? What is your advice? What are the best things that I should be doing in order to do well in your class? And they may not give you the answer that you want, but maybe they will. Maybe they'll point you to a resource that you didn't even know about, or maybe they'll set aside time for you to sit with you and do a separate review. It may surprise you, their answer, or it may not. But at the very least, you've let them know who you are. And that's great. One thing I will say to not do, don't waste a moment of your time complaining to anybody about them, especially the higher ups at your school. Don't waste your time drafting an email about how much this professor is making your life miserable to the dean or to the head of the department. Don't waste your time doing that. Spend that time, that valuable time. Time is our most valuable resource. Don't waste it writing complaining emails or complaining with your fellow cohort about how miserable your life is with this professor. Take that time and put it into the class. I had at least one class every semester that was a more challenging class in the sense that I had to put more time into it because I wasn't exactly sure, at least at the beginning, what I needed to be doing in order to do well. And in most cases, the classes where you don't really have a clear cut map, where the professor doesn't give you PowerPoint slides that they designed or handouts or things like that that they put together, you may have to read the textbook very heavily. You may have to spend 3 hours on each chapter and just schedule that time for yourself to read that textbook and make your own little study guide in order to do well. And you may be sitting there saying, "Ugh, I cannot believe this. I don't have time to do that." I know. Trust me. I've been there. I know. I went through nursing school as well, and I did not want to be spending 3 hours per chapter, and not every chapter takes that long. And sometimes you don't have time to do it, and you gotta go a little faster, or do a skim through and just do the best that you can. But the point is, guys, that some classes are just more textbook heavy than others. In other classes, the textbook may just never get opened, or you may refer to it every now and then if you don't understand something. But the point is, you got to do what you got to do. You got to get through it. Now, before you walk into the class, because sometimes those classes where that professor is not your favorite, it can be hard to even get yourself there some days. Whatever you wrote down on that positive list or whatever you know to be a good quality about this professor, before you walk in, say, I am so grateful for everything that this professor is going to teach me today. I am so grateful for them and I am so excited for this class. You got to rev yourself up, get yourself in the game because you got to be there anyway. So, do you want to be miserable? Do you want to sit there in complaining town? Or do you want to make it a good experience? Do you want to learn? Do you want to be better for it? I think that's a better option. So put yourself in that gratitude mindset before you walk in. Have questions. When you're doing your reading, write out a question that's constructive that others could possibly learn from that might spark a conversation. Others will follow. If you start asking questions, somebody else may have a question also, and maybe they were too afraid to speak up. Be the one that sets the tone for the class. Be that positive person. And when other people are complaining about this professor or their teaching style or whatever it is, don't engage. You don't have to participate in that. And if you can, try to get others on your team, meaning say to them, you know what, guys, you may be right, but we got to be here anyway. Let's make the best out of it. Did you know that they had 30 years experience in the OR and this professor told me this story, this professor gave me this resource? Get people on your team of positivity because negativity can spread so quickly. It's so toxic, and you don't want to create that for yourself. You want to make this a positive experience. And when you sit down to study for this class, for the hours, the extra hours that you have to put into it, reward yourself. You're doing amazing. So when you're done, or when you take a break studying for this particular tough class, reward yourself with something. Get yourself the good soda or the good bagel. I don't know. I always reward myself with food, but whatever it may be, get yourself a good manicure, whatever it is that you enjoy because you've earned it. It can be hard to get through these classes, but it's mindset. And these professors, some of them may not be your ideal style. But that's life, first of all. And that's how it's going to be in the real world. Not everybody you work with will be exactly who you'd like to work with, but you got to be there anyway. So let's make the best out of it. Let's be the best people we can be because of it. And you're going to learn so much more from those teachers who push you. For example, one of the classes that was textbook heavy for me was maternity. And I read that textbook. It's huge. And I read the majority of those chapters, every single page with my highlighter. And when it came time for NCLEX, any maternity question that I got, nailed it because I read that textbook. So nobody can take that from you. It could be a very, very good thing, even though it feels very painful in the moment. But here's the thing, that class is going to end. It's going to end like that. 15 weeks at the most, 16 weeks, maybe less. So we can do this. You can survive 15 weeks of this professor. You so got this. And that professor may very well end up being one of your favorites just a few months from now. Maybe by the end of the semester, they may win you over. Maybe you just didn't vibe with them at first till you realized, wow, they're actually really funny. They're not mean, or you know what, their style is really tough, but I'm doing the best in this class because they're pushing me so hard. My health assessment professor pushed me really hard. And it's because of them that I was able to do a full head to toe assessment by the end of my first semester, having no medical experience before that. So there are silver linings, there are gifts in every situation, no matter what. So look for the good, meet with them, stay engaged, stay positive, keep others around you positive, and you're going to be great. Everything will be just fine. Until next time, this is Nurse Lauren, and it is my personal mission to help put more great nurses into the world. Thanks so much for listening, guys. Remember to reach out if there are specific topics that you want to know about. Have an awesome day. Go to nursingstudentcoach.com, subscribe to our mailing list, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Nursing Student Coach Podcast.